Hello everyone, this is Schism. I got a 2,500 point battle report. My Dark Elves versus some Warriors of Chaos. Taking my Dark Elves out here for the second showing, trying to get used to their style and the flavor that is. Let's see what happens. Starting off on my opponent's far right, he has a Mark of Nurgle Gorby's Chariot. Strong and always sturdy, and always deadly on the flanks. To the left of him, there is a Chimera with regeneration. To the left of him, there is a Chaos Spawn. To the left of that, there is 20 Sword Empowered Mark of Tznich Chaos Warriors. And in that unit, he has his level 4 tucked away in the far right-hand corner. He's rocking a Charm Shield and a Dispel Scroll. For spells, he rolled on Metal, an interesting choice, but he rolled up Plague of Rust, Final Transmutation, Golden Hounds, and Enchanted Blades. So these spells, the one I'm most concerned with is Final Trans. Anytime you can delete whole chunks of units is always very dangerous, especially when you have big blocks of units. So that one's definitely going to be my primary target of denying him. Plague of Rust can be useful. I don't have that much armor save, but plinking off any what armor save I have can be useful. So not too bad there, but Final Trans is definitely what I'm looking to stay away from. Also in that unit, he has tucked away in the opposite corner an Exalted Champion with Mark of Tznich, a Flail, Talisman of Preservation, and Third Eye of Tznich. Now he's just there to take any challenges that come the way of the Sorcerer so he can stay out of combat and stay alive. And that shouldn't be too hard since that champ is pretty defensively built. Should be tough to chew through him anyways. And to the left of that, walking around, is a Demon Prince with Chaos Armor, Mark of Nurgle, Enchanted Shield, Sword of Might, and Soul Feeder. Although he is walking around, he's not as dangerous as the flying variant, but he's still a Demon Prince nonetheless. To the left of him, there is 20 Chaos Warriors with Mark of Nurgle, and in that unit is a BSB with Scaled Skin, Luckstone, and Ogre Blade. So pretty defensible again. He's a Chaos Warrior, and he also has an Ogre Blade, so he is strength amazeballs. To the left of that unit, always a wild card, there's 3 Dragon Ogres with additional hand weapons. And to the left of that, there is another Gorby's Chariot with Mark of Nurgle rounding out his forces. Starting on my far left, there is a Bolt Thrower. To the right of that, there is 5 Doomfire Warlocks. To the right of that, there's a Master riding a Dark Pegasus. He's rocking a Halberd, Heavy Armor, Sea Dragon Cloak, Dragon Helm, Crown of Command, and a Luckstone. So he's stubborn with a 2+ save, and he's got Strength 5, which is a must for Pegasus heroes. Grants them just so much more utility. To the right of him, there is 12 Crossbowmen, and that unit is a level 4 with a Dispel Scroll. For spells, I rolled up Mind Razor, Enfeebling Foe, Miasma, and Penerbit Pendulum. So Mind Razor, as I like to see it in this list, is the Corsair's best friend. It's always a great spell, especially when you have, a bunch of guys who are Strength 3. Now, the Corsairs, by no means, in the Dark Elf book, are the best target for Mind Razor, but they're the best target I have in this army for a Mind Razor. So it's always nice to make the Corsairs at least somewhat useful. So I'm happy to see that come up. Enfeebling Foe remains in play spell, always welcome. Miasma, it's just a must, really. Low casting costs and some debuffs and some key areas when you need them. And that long range on Miasma makes it almost castable every turn. And the Pendulum, which is, I always seem to roll it up. I never really find a use for it. I hate it, but it's there nonetheless. So in the center of my lines here, these 2 Twin Towers are 2 Hydras. In the center there, sandwiched, is 40 Corsairs with the Standard of Discipline. Then to the right of that Hydra, there is 40 Corsairs, and in that unit is a BSB with Heavy Armor, Sea Dragon Cloak, so he's just rocking a 3-up armor save. Pretty naked, but he does give rerolls while he remains on this plane of existence. To the right of that, there is another Master riding a Dark Pegasus. He's rocking a Heavy Armor, Sea Dragon Cloak, Dawnstone, Enchanted Shield, and Sword of Might. So he's got a 1-up save with a reroll, and he's Strength 5, which is a must. To the right of that, rounding out the Dark Elf forces, is 5 more Doomfire Warlocks. So Chaos gets turn 1 as Gorby's Chariot shambles forward. It's meager 6 inches. His Chaos Spawn trips over the woods there and barely makes it out, or in fact is still halfway in the woods. And his center lines, his Chimera flies all the way behind his Demon Prince to stay away from the Doomfire Warlocks. If I do manage to get off a nice Lightning Bolt, the Chimera is only toughness 5, I believe, and 2d6 strength 5 hits will definitely do a number on him. unless he can make regen saves, but it's a lot of dice I think he'd rather not roll. So he moves his Chimera away from my Doomfire Warlocks, because he knows how much I like to throw dice at their spells. And then his forces just move up to the picket fence there. The Dragon Ogres decide to move inwards, and the Gorbis Chariot on the far left flank just moves forward his 6 inches as well. And so we open right off the gates with he doesn't waste any time with a final transmutation on my Executioners. Now with the magic phase the way it rolled, I didn't have that much dispel dice. I think he rolled some sort of doubles. He rolled enough to where I couldn't catch it and reliably. So I had to draw my dispel scroll on turn 1 to stop this from happening. So I survived turn 1 with no final trans, but there goes my dispel scroll, so I'm at the mercy of him throwing as much dice as he can at transmutation from now on. So that ends his turn with no range, and his magic phase over. My turn 1, I take my Pegasus Captain and I move him out of the charge arc of the Gorbis Chariot and fly him in between his lines. Now I angle him here in case his Gorbis Chariot decides to try and take the bait and charge my Doomfire Warlocks, who I marched over the fence there. They passed all the dangerous terrain. So if he wants to try it, it's a long bomb charge, the Gorbis Chariot with a low movement. He can try and do this charge, but if he fails, he's going to take my captain in the rear, and I do like that fight with that +2 combat res. And then my center lines here, I actually don't move up at all. I stay stagnant. I have the range superiority over him, so make him come to me. Hopefully I can shred a few wounds off him, maybe a few magic missiles. And over here, my other Doomfire Warlocks move just out of his charge arc of his Gorbis Chariot, and my Pegasus Master here does the same. Kind of setting up the same thing. I'm just either he's going to move back because he doesn't want to get charged in the flank, or he's going to just move forward. It's really a difficult situation with this chariot. He might just change facing, but he's going to give his rear to one of my units if he does that. So just making some difficult decisions for my opponent here. In the magic phase, I take as many dice as I can, and I just throw them at the small version of the Doom Bolt, excuse me, and I roll. I get it off. I think he chased a few of my prior spells, miasma. I think I went for enfeebling foe, remains in play, or something like that. Anyways, he didn't have enough dice to catch it, so I managed to get off a Doom Bolt. I rolled, I think, 9 or 10 strength 5 shots, and I managed to do 4 wounds in total. The strength 5 takes the Gorbis Chariot save to a 5+, so it's not that reliable of a save. So he managed to fail 4 of them, so this Gorbis Chariot's on its last wound already. So that's a pretty fortuitous first turn here. And then my Reaper Bolt Thrower here opens up on the Dragon Ogres, and I managed to take 5 wounds off the Dragon Ogres. That's some pretty fancy shooting there. And that brings us to Chaos Warriors turn 2. So he does take the bait with the Gorbis Chariot, and he tries to charge my Doomfire Warlocks. He fails this charge. I don't really blame him for this move. If he doesn't get the Doomfire Warlocks now, if they get behind him, he'll never catch them all game with his army. So even though he needed, I think, an 11 with Swift Stride to get into him, it's definitely a risk worth taking at this point compared to his other options. But he did fail this charge, so now my Doomfire Warlocks will be able to get around him, and he'll never touch me the rest of the game. And he takes his Chaos Spawn to tie up my Pegasus hero here, and he turns him around, and he shoves up the Pegasus hero's butt here. And he takes his rank and file in the center with his Demon Prince, who just trundles forth over to the fence here. And you can see his Chimera moves over to the right here to try and punish my movement of my Pegasus hero and my Doomfire Warlocks on the far flank. And his Dragon Ogres just move up, so I can't get a standard shoot. It was kind of it was an iffy charge. I think you needed an 8 or a 9 to get into me, so we decided instead of taking the standard shoot, he's just going to move forward and get the guaranteed charge next turn. However, he will have to weather one more volley of shots during my turn. And there you can just see his Gorbis Chariot decides to back up, so he doesn't give his flank or his rear to anybody. And the Chimera is there to threaten in case I do decide to charge into him. He'll be able to get a charge into me if I can't break him. In the magic phase, he gets off Plague of Rust. He goes for this spell first, which is smart because I can't afford to use my Dispel dice on anything but Final Transmutation. Because if he gets Final Transmutation off on the Executioners or the Corsairs, their numbers will be seriously depleted depending on the rolls. So I opt to just let Plague of Rust go. You know, I got a 4-up save, goes to a 5-up save. This game's not going to be decided on me making armor saves. So I let it go. And then with the dice left over, he manages to get off Final Transmutation regardless of my efforts, although I did try my darndest. So he managed to roll a 6 and my BSB just gets plunked off the earth. And then 10 more of the Corsairs just die. Excuse me, the Executioners die due to Final Transmutation. Now, in subsequent turns, thankfully, or the subsequent turn, I do not succumb to that stupidity and the turning the gold thing and all that good stuff. So the only effect it had was killing my BSB and 10 of my highly trained elite infantry. So in the combat here, my master promptly dispatched the Chaos Spawn. And then I reform to face his lines. So that takes us to Dark Elf turn 2. I take my Doomfire Warlocks and I just move them past the Gorby's Chariot here. So hopefully I'll try and do another Doombolt and Doombolt his ass off the board. I take my Pegasus Master here and I just move him back a bit. So now I'm out of any charge arc here. And I take my other unit of Doomfire Warlocks and I put them well behind his Gorby's Chariot, so I'll be able to get a rear charge or a Doombolt off on him. And what I kind of miscalculated here, but I kind of did calculate it. He needed a long charge roll. I think he needed a 9 or 10 with Swift Stride with his Flying Chimera to get into my Doomfire Warlocks. But I'm still in his front arc, so it's still a viable charge. But I figured I was safe and far enough away. The center of my lines, they stay stagnant as ever. I take my Sorcerer and I take her the hell out of that crossbow unit because I know that if I can't kill those Dragon Ogres completely in this round of shooting, all it takes is one Dragon Ogre and I could be in some serious trouble. So I don't take any risks. I take her and I take her out of the unit and put her behind my lines. In the magic phase, I decide to buy myself some time and I cast Boosted Miasma on his Sorcerer's unit to keep him the hell away from me. So and it goes off, and it gives -3 to all his characteristics there, his initiative, ballistic skill, movement, and all that good stuff. So they'll be movement 1, so they can march 2 inches. So if he wants to leave that unit behind, I'm okay with that. If he wants to leave his whole army behind to keep his battle line, I'm okay with that as well. Whatever buys me time to deal with his flanks before I converge in the middle is fine with me. And I also do another Doombolt here on the Gorby's Chariot, and I take the final wound off it, so that's nice. This flank's all mopped up. I can move these Warlocks into the center. So I take my crossbowman here, and I fire into the Dragon Ogres here. Now I figured I have all these shots. I have 24 shots, and I have the only penalty I have, is pretty much. Yeah, they just fail miserably. I only take 3 wounds off the Dragon Ogre here, so that leaves a whole Dragon Ogre left. So I'm going to have to eat that in close combat, and one Dragon Ogre is a pretty decent matchup against Dark Elf warriors with no shields, as I will soon find out. And I also fired the Bolt Thrower into there too. And yeah, I still only did 3 wounds. With all those shots and the Reaper Bolt Thrower, I only managed to take 3 wounds off those Dragon Ogres. So that takes me to turn 3 for the Chaos Warriors, and the Dragon Ogre goes into my Crossbowman. He takes his unit of Mark of Nurgle Chaos Warriors with his BSB, and he tries to charge into my Corsairs. I think he needed an 8. It was a 7 or 8. I believe it was an 8, but he failed the charge and trundled forward a bit, which is good. Had he had made it, it might have been some trouble with my Corsairs. The Corsairs really need some magic support. However, even if he did again there and did win the combat, I'm pretty sure I'd be steadfast. So he fails that charge nonetheless. And he takes his Chimera, and he actually makes this charge. As horrendously long as it was, the dice were with him, and yeah, so he's going to take a Chimera into some Doomfire Warlocks. I just have to hope to make some my ward save here, because he's going to have a decent amount of attacks with his D3 extra attacks, but no Thunderstomps at least. And here he just takes his units, since one unit can only move up 2 inches, and his other unit failed to charge, so he just moves his Demon Prince up to keep his battle line. And in the match phase, he gets Plague of Rust, this time on my Corsairs. As you can see, I reformed them last turn because there's no point to being Horde when I only had 30 of them left. So now they've been Plague of Rust, so now they only have a 6-up save. But essentially that's no savers, Chaos Warriors, since they're all Strength 4. And to add insult to injury, with his extra dice, he had no other really spells to cast. I think I got rid of Final Trans this turn as he tried to cast it on my Corsairs to wither down their number, but he managed to sneak off Enchanted Blades on his Dragon Ogre. So now that Dragon Ogre has all buffed to hell. So over here with the Chimera, I get to swing first. I managed to strip 2 wounds off the Chimera, which I don't think is that bad at all. However, then he does his swings. I think he ended up with 7 attacks. I think he wounded with 6 of them, and I fail 5 out of 6 5+ wards. So I didn't even break and run here. He legit killed me with 6 wounds. I failed 5 out of 6 4+ wards. So that allows him to just reform like so to face my hero. Over in the combat here, I do nothing to the Dragon Ogre, which I think is some pretty bad luck. Considering I do get the rerolls to hit and I do have Murderous Prowess, I should be able to do something to him, but I do nothing with my attacks. And he does 4 wounds to me in return. That with a charge, and he breaks me because I fail my leadership test. And yeah, he just overruns. And he ends up right there. And that takes me to turn 3. It's do or die time for the Dark Elves. He's right in front of my face. I think the Corsairs needed a 7 to get in. The Hydra on the far left needed a 6 to get in. And the one in the far right needed a 8 to get in. And they make all their charges. And I also take my Peg Master into the rear for some extra combat bonus just in case I need it. So there you have the ultimate supreme Hydra Corsair sandwich going on there. Then I don't know what's going to happen on the left. If I can't get any magic support or anything like that, I might not win. I might be stuck in a long drawn-out combat. And if he takes his warriors into the side, I might be into some serious trouble. So I just take my Corsairs and I plop them, my Executioners, and I plop them right in front of his Marcus Tini's warriors here. So they have no choice into which direction they're headed. And my Doomfire Warlocks just move on the side here. Maybe if I get some extra magic dice, I'll try and Doombolt the unit. I take my level 4, and I get her the hell away from the Dragon Ogre, because I don't want any shenanigans going on where I have to fight a Dragon Ogre with a half-naked woman. I take my Pegasus Master here, and I don't know what he would do to Gorby's chart. I generally don't like Strength 5 against Toughness 6, but it's proven me well in the past. So I line up here to harass this Gorby's chariot, and I make sure I'm out of the charge arc of the Chimera. So in the magic phase, I throw 6 dice. I think I only rolled 6 dice this phase. So I throw all 6 at Occam's Mind Razor, and I get it irresistibly. So now I am some Strength Amaze Balls with my Corsairs. So that's nice. I don't really have any... I don't see any issues with this combat now, since I'll have 15, 16, attacks that are Strength 8 or 9, which is nice. And I roll a 7 for my miscast, so that's probably the best roll you can get, especially when you're out wandering on your own. So in the Exalted, BSB has to issue a challenge, so I don't want him doing that much damage to my unit, so I feed him my champion, and he promptly kicks the ever-loving crap out of him. He does 3 wounds to the champion. The champion doesn't do any wounds to him that I can recollect. And so then my unit hauls off, and I kill 18 of these Marka Nurgle warriors. Yeah, they are -1 to hit, but I'm Strength 1,000,000, so... And I think they're initiative 5, I'm initiative 5, so I do get my rerolls and all that good stuff. So even though they're -1 to hit, I still roll like a boss, and I do 18 wounds. And that is combined with the Thunderstomps and the Hydra's attacks. Now I know one Hydra completely whiffed, and I know the other one killed 2 or 3, and I think I had a total 8 Thunderstomps, so I did some serious damage with a Thunderstomp. That wasn't all just the Corsairs there. And then he allocated as many attacks as he could on the unit. He didn't go for the Hydras, and he did 2 wounds to the unit. So I win combat handily. And there's just another picture of what his unit looks like after the combat. I think that brings him down to the BSB and 2 or 3 guys, maybe 2. I think it's 2. And then so he flees, his BSB dies, so there's 2 remaining guys left. I want those points, of course. So I actually just reform with a Hydra, I reform with my Corsairs, and I reform with my Pegmaster to face inward. And I chase him down with the other Hydra, and I manage to catch him. So job well done to him. That takes us to Chaos Warriors turn 4. And this is where things get ugly and people forget about spells. So he takes the Demon Prince and he charges my Corsair unit. I honestly thought he was going to go for the Hydra because I think the Hydra is an easy kill, and that's some easy points. I personally would have went for the Hydra, but he goes into the Corsair unit. And his Sword and Board Marcus Sinistro goes into the Executioners because that is what was put right in front of them. He takes his Chimera and he charges my Hydra, and I want no part of that. So I just flee. It's safer to flee with a Hydra, even though I'm only Leadership 6, and I'm not cold-blooded, even though I'm a Hydra. But, yeah, so I just flee. I flee through my Corsair unit that's in combat. I'm within range of my General. My General is actually underneath the Occam's Mindrazor card, which was there to remind everybody that the Corsairs had Mindrazor. So in the magic phase, he gets off Enchanted Blades on his unit here of Marcus Sinistro Warriors. He's got his hero in there as well. So there got the buffs from Enchanted Blades. And over here, he does 3 Corsairs of death to the Corsairs. He kills 3 Corsairs. They're dead. They died. Not coming back. And then I attack back, and I am Mind-Razored, so I just kick the Evelyn bejesus out of the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince dies. Then the combat here, he does 11 wounds to me, and I only do 5 wounds back. This was a tragic combat. He wins by a landslide. He breaks me. He doesn't run me down. He ends up right there. That takes me to my turn 5. I actually rally my Corsairs. I reform both my Hydras. My Doomfire Warlocks get in position. My Pegmaster moves around into the flank here. I take my other master into the rear of the Gorby's Chariot with a +2 combat res. As long as I can just disregard any wounds he does, he won't get his attacks from his Gorbeast there since I'm in the rear. I should be okay. I might even be able to do a wound with him with some charging, strength, and impact hits, and strength 5, and all that good stuff. But no, instead I absolutely fail, and he does a wound to me. I end up winning this combat by 1, I believe. Just for the charge in the rear, I win by 2, but he sticks around, and then he passes his test to reform. So now I'll be able to swing with his Gorbeast Chariot, his Gorbeast, I should say. So that was an epic fail. However, my Bolt Thrower, I decided to go single shot, and I take the last wound off the Chimera. And that's when my opponent decided to call it because he was so frustrated over his Demon Prince play, and then the Chimera getting plinked off by a Bolt Thrower Bolt. That leaves him with this one unit here, which is surrounded by, the rest of my whole entire armor, and he has a Dragon Ogre in the rear there still. So it's a victory to the Dark Elves here, mostly due to one major misplay. The Demon Prince is definitely a pretty big wild card, and the forgetting the Mind-Razor on the Corsairs is definitely a big boo-boo, one that you really can't come back from. But even if even in that situation, the Demon Prince still has a chance as long as it has a ward save. But his variant didn't have that much of a ward save with only a 5-up. And even if it did have a good armor save, it's not really going to matter against strength 8. So yeah, not a good position there. Executioner's a big target. Once again, anything that's ranged that can peel off any numbers or any spells is just going to go into the executioners, and they die, and they die fast. They are extremely killy, but if you can whittle down their numbers, they're just, they're such a finesse unit. They're so dainty, such a glass hammer, but oh, what a hammer they can be. Um, on the bright side, the best part of this battle report and the best part of this game I love is the Hydras live this game. After their sloppy deaths in the last game, they both survived and survived without even a scratch. So I'm proud. I'm proud of them today. And then the last one is the single bolt on the bolter. Oftentimes, I often struggle with deciding whether I should fire a single bolt or just go for the plethora of shots. Statistically, on averages, it's usually against most target. It's good to do the multiple shots because you have a chance to do more hits and more wounds and all this good stuff. But sometimes it's just nice to go for that Hail Mary. In this game, it paid off and it peeled off that Chimera. So thanks for staying tuned. Victory to the Dark Elves, and hopefully Mind Razor Forgetfulness won't strike in the next game. Thank you very much.